Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everyone in today's class for the first intermediate grade. Our textbook is Super Goal 2 and today we will cover expansion units from Unit 1 until Unit 4, Chant Along and Project. This lesson will be presented by me, teacher Mazen Al-Harbi, and the sign language by Mr. Fawaz Al-Agil. So let's begin. Our objectives in today's lesson, we hope that at the end of this lesson, you will be able to, number one, listen to a chant and chant it, and also number two, answer yes or no questions, and number three, identify new vocabulary items. So now, I would like you please to first open your books on page 38. Open your books please on page 38, as we are going to listen to a chant called the English class. We're going to listen to a chant called the English class. And since we're talking about the English class, I have a couple of questions for you just to think about them and try to have some ideas and brainstorm some ideas about them. The first question I have for you is, what do you have to do in your English class? What are the activities that you usually do in your English class? For example, when you know that the next period will be English class, is there a certain notebook you should prepare? Is there a certain vocabulary you revise or you prepare when the teacher comes? So what actually the things that you think or you need to prepare for an English class? Also, the second question, what are you allowed to do? So in your at your school, with your English teacher, what are the things that you're allowed to do? For example, are you allowed to speak Arabic? Are you allowed to write or the vocabulary or the new vocabulary items that you just learned? Are you allowed to speak with your classmates in Arabic or in English? So what are the things that you are allowed to do in English class? Also, the third question is, what are some of the things you like to do? When there is an English class and you have now an English period, what are the things that you like to do? You like to speak in front of your classmates in English. You like to read. You like to listen. You like to write on the board. So what are the things that you like when there is an English class? Also, what are some of the things you dislike, the things that you don't like in English? What are the things that you don't like in English class? Do you like, for example, when some of your classmates speak Arabic? Do you like that some of your classmates maybe try to help you with certain information in English but using the Arabic language? So what are the things that you don't like in English class? And the last thing, what does the teacher tell you to do? What are the things that usually the teacher, the English teacher, tell you to do? Does he encourage you, for example, to greet him back in English? Does he encourage you to revise in every lesson a list of vocabularies or a list of words? Does he encourage you or tell you that to do a homework or try to answer a couple of questions during the class? So what are the things that a teacher like to do or tell you to do in an English class? So all of these questions related to an English class at your school. So think about them. Try to have some ideas about what is actually like to be in an English class, about the things you like, the things that you don't, the things that the teachers tell you to do, because we're going to listen to a chant that is similar to the answers that you have just thought of. And now, let's move on to the chant. Now, I'm going to read the chant for you, and what I need you to do is, for the first time, you just listen and try in your mind, try to number the chants you listen first. For example, the first chant you hear, write down on this chant number 1. And the second one or the second verse you hear, write down number 2. As you can see that in every verse you will see a circle like this, so write down the number. The first circle or the first verse you heard, just write down number 1. Okay? So let's begin with the first one. Please come in and sit down. Don't talk, turn around. Nice to meet you. How do you do? Spell your name. How are you? Close your book, the verb to be. Now repeat after me. It's a book. It's a pen. It's a pencil and crayon. It's a ball. It's a bat. It's a bag and a hat. It's a circle, a square, a rectangle, a line. Find a partner and smile. It's a mouse. It's a pad. It's a screen and a stick. It's a keyboard. It's an email, an address, a site, a new face, a text, a word. Read the message and reply. It's a car, it's a plane, it's a bus and a train. It's a table, a chair, it's an apple, a pear, an MP3, a video game, a DVD. What is this and what is that? So here I have read this chant, or I chant these verses for you. And now we're going to answer a couple of questions and we're going to listen to it again. And this time we have other question for you when we listen for the second time. So hear this chant. We have read this chant. So let me ask you first, what are the words that we talk or we read or you hear about computers? So in this chant, I chanted some words that related to computer. Could you recall or could you remember what these words were? Very good. Some of these words were CD-ROM, DVD, video game, mouse, pad that we put under the mouse, screen like this one, stick, keyboard, the one we write on when we write or when we type, email, the way we send letters, and site, it's a short form of websites. So these are the words that we have listened and related to the computer. And now let's listen again, and this time while you listen, try to find rhyming words. Rhyming words that sound similar. What do you mean by rhyming words? Words that sound similar. So I'm going to read it again. I'm going to chant it again. And this time you listen carefully and try to find those rhyming words. So, and this time I'm going to use the pointer as you listen. The English class. Please come in and sit down. Don't talk, turn around. Nice to meet you. How do you do? Spell your name. How are you? Close your book, the verb to be. Now repeat after me. It's a book. It's a pen. It's a pencil and crayon. It's a ball. It's a bat. It's a bag and a hat. It's a circle, a square, a rectangle, a line. Find a partner and smile. It's a mouse. It's a pad. It's a screen and a stick. It's a keyboard. It's an email and address. A site, a new face, a text, a word. Read a message and reply. It's a car. It's a plane. It's a bus and a train. It's a table, a chair. It's an apple, a pear, an MP3, a video game, a DVD. What is this and what's that? So here I have chanted for the second time. And here, of course, you have heard some of the rhyming words. But before we go and find out or put a list of those rhyming words, let's number those verses first. So here we have listened to the first verse, which is this one. Please come in and sit down. So what we need to do now is that we're going to go to the circle and write down here number one. We're going to write number one on this circle that started with this verse. Please come in. And the second verse we have heard, which is The one with started with it's a book, it's a pen. So we're going to this verse and we're going to write down here number 2. Now, the third verse we have heard, which is the one we started with it's a mouse. So here we're going to go to this verse and write down number 3. And lastly, the last verse we have heard, the one started with it's a car, it's a plane, it's a bus, and a train. So here we're going to write down number 4. So here we have put those verses in the correct order. We have listened and we put them in the correct order. And now let's go to this class and to find out what are the rhyming words. What are the rhyming words we have heard in this chant? So here we have a list of these rhyming words we have heard. The first one is do you, do and you. This is the first rhyming words. The other one we have heard, which is be and me. You see what do you mean by rhyming? Rhyming, it means that the words that sounds or have similar sounds. So do, you, be, me. And next we have bat, hat, bat, hat. So all of them rhyming. So here we have plane, train, plane, train, 2 rhyming words. And here we have chair and pear, chair, pear. So here we have 2 rhyming words. So this is what do you mean by rhyming? It means that we have words that sound similar, words that sound similar. And now let's move on to the other exercise we have on this book on page 39. We have a vocabulary exercise. What we're going to do now is we're going to match the 2 parts and write down the number in the blank. So here we have on the left, we have phrases. We have phrases. And on the right, we have the function of these phrases. For example, when can we say those phrases? So let's read these phrases first and read the functions on how can we use these phrases, and then we're going to start answering this exercise. So number 1, repeat after me. Repeat after me. Number 2, we say, how are you? Number 3, we say, how do you do? And number 4, we reply. Number 5, we use the mouse. So here are phrases, here are cases need to be completed with the sentences we have here. So let's now read the sentence on the right side and then we're going to answer. So A says, when we meet someone for the first time. And B, to move on the screen and click. Number C is something the teacher says. Number D, when we meet a friend. And E, when we write an answer to an email. So here we have the completion of these phrases or the completion of these phrases or these sentences. So let's begin with the first one. So A says here, the first one is repeat after me. Repeat after me. So this phrase, what can you tell about this phrase? So here we have when we meet someone for the first time, or to move on the screen and click, or something the teacher says on when we meet a friend, on when we write an answer to an email. So we can think of all the possible answers for the first one. So let's begin here from the right side. When we meet someone for the first time. When we meet someone for the first time. So what is the proper phrase we should say to him? Do we say repeat after me, or how are you, or how do you do, or we reply, or we use the mouse? So what do you think? What is the phrase that we said to someone when we meet him for the first time? What do you think? Very good. The answer is number 3. How do you do? How do you do is a phrase or a question we say to someone when we meet him for the first time. When we meet him for the first time. The number B, to move on the screen and click. To move on the screen and click. So what is it? Is it this phrase, or when we reply, or when we use the mouse? When can we move on the screen and click? Very good. It is number 5. We use the mouse to move on the screen like this, to move on the screen and click. C. Is something the teacher says. Is something the teacher says. So what is it? Is it 1, repeat after me, or 2, we say how are you, or 4, we reply? So what is the phrase that usually the teacher says? Very good. It is number 1. Repeat after me. So usually when there is a new vocabulary that the teacher wants to present, or when there is a chant maybe, the teacher usually say repeat after me. And D. When we meet a friend. When we meet a friend, what do? We have to lift? Do we say how are you, or we reply? So what do you think? What is the proper phrase for this one? Excellent. It is number 2. We say how are you when we meet a friend. We say how are you when we meet a friend. And when we are meeting someone for the first time, we say how do you do. When we meet someone for the first time, we say how do you do. And we are meeting a friend, a person that we know, we said how are you. And the last one, when we write an answer to an email, we reply. We reply when we write an answer to an email. So when we receive an email and want to reply to this email, we write or we want to answer, we reply. So our replying to this email is the same as answering this email. So here we go. Here are the answers of these phrases, and here are how we can complete these phrases. Now, the other exercise we have, here we have a group of words, a list of words, and what we need to do is we are going to put the words into the correct groups. So as you can see on this table, here we have 3 groups. The first one is for classroom, the second one is for transportation, and the third one is for technology. And what we need to do here we have words. We need to put every word in its appropriate group. So let's read those words first, and then after this we're going to put each word in its appropriate group. So the first one is bus, car, paper, drone, train, plane, USB flash drive, video game, bike, book, pen, pencil, mouse, email, partner, keyboard, motorcycle, and chair. So here we have more than 18 words, and we need to put each word in its appropriate group. So now let's begin. Let's begin trying to classify those words. So let's start with classroom. Let's start with classroom. And here we need to fill this category first. We need to fill this table first, and then we'll go to the other group, and then to the third one. So what is the words that match this group, or what is the word that we should put or we use under classroom? Very good. So the first word is pen. So here we're going to cross pen. The first word is pen. The other one is book. Very good. So the other one is book. And then we have pencil. Excellent. And we have paper. Excellent. And chair. Excellent. And then we have partner. Very good. Partner, it means your classmate or your friend in the class. So this is your partner. Sometimes when you are doing an exercise, you need to find a partner. You need to find a partner. So here we have this list of list of words that go with the classroom group. So now let's move on to the other group, which is the transportation group. So let's begin. The first word is bus, and the other one is car. So car also is a transportation vehicles. And then we have a train and plane and bike Very good. And the last one is a motorcycle. The last one is a motorcycle. So you see in this group we have wrote all the transportation vehicles that helps you to move from one point or one place to another place. So you can move by using a bus, car, train, plane, bike, and motorcycle. So let's move on to the last group we have, technology. So all the remaining words that goes with the technology group. So the first one is a drone, which is a pilot or a small plane that goes by remote control, and also USB flash drive where you can keep all your information and files in this flash drive, and also a mouse where you can drag and click and move around the screen, and also keyboard when you are using keyboard to type or to write on the computer. And also we have an email when you use it to send letters and information to a friend. And lastly, we have video games. Video games is a word that goes with technology, as we have electronic games that people like to play from one time to time. So here, we have classified all of these 18 words, each one in its appropriate group. And this is very important just to know that some words and some vocabulary have their own field or have their own area. And now, here we have a comprehension question. What I would like you to do here to answer yes or no questions. So I'm going to say a fact, a statement, an information, and you tell me whether you agree with this information or not. The first one here we have is a circle. A circle has 4 sides. A circle has 4 sides. So what do you think? Do we say yes to this statement or we say no? Very good. The answer is no. So what actually the shape that has 4 sides? Very good. Yes, a square has 4 sides. A square has 4 sides. Number 2. When you spell your name, you need to say each letter separately. When you spell your name, you need to say each letter separately. It means that if your name is Ali, for example, you're going to spell it separately. You would say A, L, I. So what do you think? Is that correct? Very good. Yes, it is correct. We always, when we spell our name, just to the other person to understand or to write down our name, we need to spell each letter separately. And number 3, we put a pad under the keyboard. We put a pad under the keyboard. You know that usually on our tables that there is a pad when we using keyboard and a mouse. So where do you think the place where we should the pad so we can rest the device or the tool on it just to use it? So is it under the keyboard or under the mouse? Very good. The answer is no. We put it under the mouse. We put this pad under the mouse and not under the keyboard. Number 4, we click with the mouse. So when we are using computer, we click on with the mouse and not with other device. So what do you think? Very good. The answer is yes. And number 5, there are sites on the internet. So what is the internet? It says here that internet is about sites. There are websites on the internet. So do you agree with this one? Very good. Yes, we agree. There are sites on the internet, and this is why people using the internet just to log in on these sites. So here we have answered all of these comprehension questions, and we have corrected the sentences that we don't agree with. The last thing here I would like you to do, here we have a project, an interesting project. First, I want you to keep a record of what you do in English class every day. Think about what you hear, what you read, and what you see. And this is a very, very important. You see that when you're learning English, this is an ongoing process, and it will continue for years. So it's very important that you have a simple record book like this and write down the things that is new to you. Maybe words, maybe information about English, anything that you hear and that you write down or that you read and you think that this is will be helpful and this is new to you, write it down in your record book, as you're going to see it later how this will benefit you. And also try to encourage another partner, maybe a family member or a classmate or a friend that you know outside of your school. Try to encourage him about this idea, and when he do or when she does, when he does or when she does, try to compare your record book with his or her. And number 3, do a class survey. Find out how much English your classmates use. So usually in English class, try to do a survey whether they are using English in speaking or reading or even writing. So you try to make a survey and see how much of English is going around you in English class. And now we have reached the end of our lesson. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.